Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nandana Radhana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Navanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Vardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pavrikacharya Satira Sada Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsika Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurani Ki Jai. Brindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Navadip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 46, text number 3. And this is Krishna sending Uddhava to Vrindavan. Gacho I had this right. No, I'm not done. Gacho davarajam somya. Gado davarajam somya. Pitrorna pritam avaha. Pitrorna pritam avaha. Gopinam viyogadim. Hoinam viyogadim. Matsandeshar vimochaya. Gachodava vrajam somya. Pitrorna pritim avaha. Yoginam madviyogadim. Matsandeshar vimochaya. Gajodava rajam somya. Pitrorna pritim avaha. Gopinam madviyogadim. Matsandeshar vimochaya. Anvavarjam somya. Yorna pritim avaha. Samyayoyanim. Mandeshar vimochaya. Gachodava samya. Ritorna pritam avaha. Gopina madviyogadim. Matsandaishar vimochaya. Gajodava vrajam somya. Pitrorna pritam avaha. Gopinam madviyogadim. Matsandeshar vimochaya. Gachodava vimochadvam. Pitrorna pritim avaha. Yoginam hadayogadim. Matsandeshar vimochaya. Gachodava vrajam somya. Pitrorna pritam avaha. Gopinam Madviyogadim Matsandeshar Vimochaya Gotcha. Please go. Uddhava. O Uddhava. Vrajam. To Vraj. Somya. O gentle one. Pitraho. To the parents. Na. Our. Pritim. Satisfaction. Avaha. Carry. Gopinam. Of the gopis. Mat. From me. Viyoga. Caused by separation. Adim. Of the mental pain. Mat. Brought from me. Sandeshai. By messages. Mimochaya. Relieve them. Translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna said, Dear gentle Uddhava, go to Vraj and give pleasure to our parents, and also relieve the gopis, suffering in separation from me, by giving them my message. Please repeat. Lord Krishna said, Dear gentle Uddhava, go to Vraja and give pleasure to our parents, and also relieve the gopis, suffering in separation from me, by giving them my message. So there's no purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples, but there are two commentaries, one by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and one by Srila Jiva Goswami. So first, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Make my father and mother completely happy. Free the gopis completely from sorrow, for they are very deeply afflicted by separation from me. You do this not by your own cleverness, but by my messages. It is not one message, but many. It is not one message on Jnana Yoga, analysis and detachment, nor after that by two messages containing instructions on how to attain me, and then words of consolation, for they will burn those messages to ashes in the blazing fire of their prema. But they will finally be freed from sorrow by many confidential instructions hinted at only, which should be revealed to them and to no one else. And Srila Jiva Goswami writes, Krishna uses the plural form, na, our, to show respect as their son. Or he uses the plural, Krishna, Balaram, and Uddhava, to increase Uddhava's affection for them by showing that his mother and father are also ideal parents for persons like Uddhava. Another version has now. Then it refers to Krishna and Balaram in the dual case. Positively produce happiness in my parents who are suffering separation from me by your skill as if by force, since it will be difficult to make them happy in my absence. Or produce happiness so it is continuous like a river, so that even later their happiness remains. How will a fool like me be able to do this? Uddhava says. Krishna thus called out, O Uddhava, you are Uddhava, an ocean of good qualities, which were described in verse 1. Uddhava also means joy. You are also peacefulness incarnate, somya, and or most attractive. Forget about your skills. Just by seeing you, they will become happy. he addresses Uddhav to give him enthusiasm, especially free, vimochaya, especially free, vimochaya, the gopis, from pain of separation. Free them from that pain which is firmly fixed in their hearts like a knot, so that it will not touch them again. You can only free them from pain and not give them happiness. You should do this through my message and not through your clever words, and not by making 2 or 3 attempts. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananganan Shalakaya Chakshun Militangena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabhadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Badaya Krishna Bastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitanamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bacharani Nirvasesa Shunyavadi Prasyachadeshtarani Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have left Vraj pastimes, the pastimes in Vrindavan behind, and now are entering into Krishna's Mathura and Dwarka Leelas. But we haven't really left Braj behind, because here in this chapter, 46 and 47, we're taken back to Braj to revisit the residents of Braj and to clarify how the residents of Braj are the highest devotees, have the highest prema, and are uniquely situated in pure love of God. Because everywhere in this next 2 chapters, we really will see the comparison between Uddhava's prema, which is very high. Uddhava is a very confidential servant slash friend of Lord Sri Krishna. And his position as a scholar is unsurpassed, and his position as Krishna's advisor is unassailable. He's Krishna's closest advisor. But yet, his prema pales in significance to the prema of the residents of Braj. And he doesn't know this yet, really, so Krishna is going to send him with a message so that he can learn a lesson. Now, there's a word in this verse, viyogadim. And so the word viyoga, caused by separation, adim, of mental pain. So that the gopis and the inhabitants of Braj, they're suffering mental pain from separation. Now, people talk about yoga all the time, and they have different levels of understanding yoga. Some people, it's just exercise or some sort of Eastern Indian sort of discipline, or they may come to the platform of Gyan Yoga or Sankhya Yoga or different types of yoga. And the word is bandied about, but many people don't even know the true meaning of the word yoga, which is to be linked, to be not separate. Viyoga means separate. So that is vipralamba. And sambhoga, which is for the gopis, that union, that is yoga. Yoga means to have union with Krishna. And that union with Krishna is the only real goal of yoga. All other yoga processes, whatever they may be, are not successful until they actually take one to the platform of pure devotional service, prema bhakti. it's important to look at these tikas by both Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami, and especially Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is very pointed in his tika. Jiva Goswami says the same things, same two main points, but it's a little less focused. So let's look at the words of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He makes it very clear. He says to Uddhava, "Free the gopis completely from sorrow, vimocha, for they are very deeply afflicted by separation from me." So he's sending him to free them from pain. Later on, Jiva Goswami says, you can free them from pain, but you can't give them happiness. I mean, it's because only Krishna gives happiness to them. And he makes the point here, which is very important and instructive for us also. You do this not by your cleverness, but by my message. It is not one message, but many. It is not one message on Jnana Yoga, nor after that 2 messages containing instructions on how to attain me, and then words of consolation. In other words, and actually Uddhava does some of that. He tries to console them, be philosophical. But he says it's not that. For they will turn those messages to ashes in the blazing fire of their praying. So their love is so great that any kind of philosophical or emotional sort of argument to console and to teach is simply, it's like when waves break against the big the rocks of a cliff. The ocean is very powerful, but when it meets some obstacle, like on the shore, some cliff, those waves are broken. They can't go on. They may be 20 feet high, but when they hit the shore and they hit the rocks and the cliff, they're broken, even though they're very powerful. So this is a very important message for us as preachers and as Krishna conscious devotees, that we should understand that we aren't the source of anything, and that Krishna, he is the source of everything, in the sense that we deliver a message. We don't make one up. We are able to speak on behalf of Krishna because he allows us to speak for him. Not that we have some great storehouse of knowledge ourselves. Prabhupada speaks about this in several classes, and I'll read a few of these quotes about how we should be faithful to the words of Sri Krishna, to the words of Gurudev, to the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Los Angeles in 1972, he speaks, "You will find that one who is very experienced medical practitioner, he gives you a prescription, and you visit him again and again. He gives you the same prescription unless you are cured. His prescription is so nice that he doesn't change. But a non-experienced physician, every time you go, he will change the prescription. But actually, those who have experienced, he knows this is the disease, and ultimately this medicine will cure. So let me repeat that medicine." So that is our platform. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. We repeat. We repeat only. We don't change. Now Harinam is not curing me, so let me add instead Hare Krishna, John Krishna, I may, or no, John Krishna. Then Prabhupada says in Vrindavan in 1974, actually, perfect knowledge you can get from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in Parampara system, you get that knowledge. Evam paramparam praptam imam rajashayo vidu. Paramparam means they do not change the word of Krishna. That is parampara. We were visiting a group of people yesterday nice people, and they follow a yogi, and they have some attraction for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in chanting, but they're following a person who is using the strength of his own, quote, realizations to guide them. And he has very elaborate, quote, realizations that he had throughout his life, and they're quite stunning, but they're his and his alone, and therefore he's adulterated a message. His message is not the pure message. We know that Krishna is a Purusheya. That means he's completely pure. And so the message of the completely pure handed down in the Parampara, that's completely pure. Any other message, a speculation, that is not going to be pure. So Prabhupada continues in another class in Mayapur in 1974. Sadhu Guru means they don't change the words of Krishna. They don't say, now I have manufactured something. Krishna says that you can see me in the taste of water. I can say that you can see in this way. You can see me, and you will see Krishna. Another one in Bombay. You can become representative of Krishna if you do not interpret Krishna's words in your whimsical way. Krishna says, Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. There is no superior authority than me. And if you take it as it is, and if you speak to the people that there is no more superior authority than Krishna, then you become guru. You become guru. You don't change, then you become guru. So, here Prabhupada is making this point, the same point that Uddhava is making, that Krishna is making to Uddhava, is that your perfection is delivering my message as I gave it to you, as I give it to you. And this message, he says, they will be finally freed from sorrow by many confidential instructions hinted at only, which should be revealed to them and to no one else. So I'm giving you some instructions. You may not completely even understand them, but this is the message you need to bring to them, and only to them, because they'll understand this. Don't adulterate, don't change. We have to understand that the message coming from the Parampara, from Krishna through his through the disciplic succession, is perfect. And if it's delivered perfectly, if it's delivered without adulteration, then it has perfect effect. And this is what Krishna is telling Uddhava here. It's very important. He says, Uddhava, you're a really bright guy. You're really smart. You know a lot of things. You can speak very well. But in this case, you must not use your cleverness to console the gopis. You must console them by using my messages and my messages alone. And why is that? In this case, it is because their prema is so great, their love for me is so great, that you are a subordinate personality. You don't have the standing to give them instructions from the platform of Gyan, or from the platform of yoga, or from another platform, or from a platform of mixed bhakti, because they have a prema which is so strong. A love is so strong, it is greater than yours. Yes, Uddhava has prema. He has love for Krishna, but his love for Krishna is not Braj prema. It's not the same, and therefore Uddhava, he has no ability to deliver anything on his own to them. It's really the same case with us and our guru. We can't correct the guru. We can't second guess the guru. We can't think that the guru is well, maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. No, the guru is right, and I understand that implicitly. And if I don't understand how he's right, then we have to understand that, well, we have to grow a little more, become more Krishna conscious. But by following enthusiastically the instructions of our guru, then we can actually act as his servant in a useful way. and in the case of Srila Prabhupada, in spreading his teachings all over the world. So let's talk a little bit about the prem, the love that the inhabitants of Vrindavan have, and how that love can't be compared to any other love. So it's very important to understand. This is very important because this is what Uddhava was sent to learn. And this is what we're really meant to learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam in the pages, especially of the 10th canto, that there's no superior state of consciousness than that of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Because the inhabitants of Braj, they're all completely absorbed simply in serving Sri Krishna or Sri Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda, in the mood in which they feel best suited. And that mood is always untinged by personal motivation and by personal desire, and is only there to give Krishna happiness. And so this is a very special state of consciousness, one that no other inhabitant of the spiritual world can actually have. They can have a glimpse like Uddhava will have, but not actually have that. So let's turn to, there are some verses that Sanatana Goswami writes at the end of his Brihat Bhagavatamrita. It's called the Bhakti Rasayan. And this is like a nectar tonic in order to help us taste this highest sort of happiness. And so I'm going to turn to Canto 10, Chapter 12. And this is verses 6 through 12. And these are verses that Sanatana Goswami includes in his Bhakti Rasayana. Actually, it's verses 6, 7, and 12, but 7 through 6, 11, and 12, excuse me. But verses 7 through 11 are a continuous thought. This is a class, this was a chapter that we covered probably about 3 years ago in the 10th canto. It's back in the 12th chapter. And these are this is a story of Aghasura, and these are the boys and Krishna playing previously, right before Aghasura is killed. So this is the description of their relationship. Sometimes Krishna, this is verse number 6, sometimes Krishna would go to a somewhat distant place to see the beauty of the forest. Then all the other boys would run to accompany him, each one saying, I shall be the first to run and touch Krishna. I shall touch Krishna first. In this way they enjoyed life by repeatedly touching Krishna. Now the yogis and the meditators, they meditate a long time just to see perhaps the lotus feet of Krishna, and many just see Paramatma. Not that you're just seeing Paramatma, but the fact is that this is an intimacy unknown to anyone else. To be able to play with Krishna, touch Krishna, be with Krishna. You certainly can't think that he's God Almighty, because then you were going to think that, oh, how can I do this? After all, Arjuna, when he saw Krishna's universal form, he became disturbed. He said, well, whoops, I probably made offenses. I've been hanging out with Krishna and calling him a friend, calling you a friend, and eating with you and relaxing and joking. Maybe that was an offense. Krishna quickly allowed him to forget the universal form and regain his stature as a friend. But the boys, they don't have any doubts that Krishna is just an ordinary friend. In fact, he's going to, when they walk into Aghasura's mouth, they just say, come on in, let's go, let's have fun. This is not saying, oh, you're God, you can come in here and protect us. No, it's just, we don't care, we're going to go into the snake's mouth, Krishna's with us, everything's all right. So now verses 7 through 7 through 11, and this will also indicate how the boys played with Krishna. Very sweet. All the boys would be differently engaged. Some boys blew their flutes, and others blew bugles made of horn. Some imitated the buzzing of the bumblebees, and others imitated the voice of the cuckoo. Some boys imitated flying birds by running after the birds' shadows on the ground. Some imitated the beautiful movements and attractive postures of the swans. Some sat down like the ducks, with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitated the dancing of the peacocks. Some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees. Some jumped into the trees, imitating the monkeys. Some made faces as the monkeys were accustomed to do, weird faces like monkeys. And others jumped from one branch to another. So the boys are just having a grand time. This is all in the presence of God. Some boys went to the waterfalls and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs, and when they saw their own reflections on the water, they would laugh. They would also condemn the sounds of their own echoes. In this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence for the jnanis desiring to merge into that effulgence, who is the Supreme Personality for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship, and who, for ordinary persons, is but another ordinary child. So depending on your perspective, what you see. The ordinary person studying this will say, oh, this is a mythology, this is just made up, this is ordinary. Or a yogi, he meditates so he can enter into the effulgence. This Krishna is the source of all this. And these boys are playing with him, free from any encumbrance of any other thought than simply, let's have fun. For eternity. For eternity. This is going on forever. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities for many lives, were able to associate in this way with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? Indeed, how can it be explained? Let's go to the next verse. There's a purport here, but I want to go to the next verse. Yogis may undergo severe austerities and penances for many births, practicing yam, niyam, asana, and pranayam, none of which are easily performed. Yet in due course of time, when these yogis attain the perfection of controlling the mind, they will still be unable to taste even a particle of the dust from the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then can we describe about the great fortune of the inhabitants of Brajabhumi Vrindavan, with whom the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally lived, and who saw the Lord face to face? And Prabhupada writes a very short purport here. We can simply imagine the great fortune of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. It is impossible to describe how after many, many births of pious activities, they have become so fortunate. It's actually impossible to describe, because it's also impossible to conceive of the fact that they are engaging in these activities for all time, without cessation, without break, in total bliss, with complete union. This is real union. When we talk about becoming one with God, for the Mayavadis, it means I'm going to merge into some sort of an undifferentiated state. At least it's better than here, where I have toothaches and problems with paying my taxes and so many other things. But that's simply a negation of the bad. This is an affirmation of the absolute truth. It's an affirmation connection with Krishna that we can only have in this state of consciousness. So how to get to this state of consciousness? That is something that we have to understand is not it is not easy, but is attainable through the instruction of Krishna and the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave us the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And this mantra allows us, by His grace, to connect to this highest level of consciousness. Of course, that means we have to chant the mantra in a way in which we can connect, free from offenses. Because as long as we're committing offenses, which means we're materially contaminated, the mantra still acts, but it doesn't act in its full effect. And its full effect, ultimately, it brings us to a state of consciousness that Prabhupada cites in this purport to verses 7 through 11, when he quotes and cites this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is like the key to so many of these higher understandings, even though the Bhagavad Gita doesn't delve deeply into details. It is the key for us to understand. And this verse is a very familiar verse. Everybody knows this verse, at least by hearing it. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana sharavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. This is chapter 6, verse number 47. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So we can say that the cowherd boys are the highest yogis. They're the most intimately united. Who's more intimately? Well, we could say the gopis are, but within the different types of rasa, each one is most intimately united. So these boys are totally united. There's no block, there's no difference, they are simply absorbed forever in playing and frolicking and loving Krishna. So this is something that's inconceivable to everyone, except those persons who are fortunate enough to come in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord, like Srila Prabhupada, or Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the gurus in our Guru Varga, because they are emissaries from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are bringing us Krishna consciousness, and without them, we don't have access to that. We may get sidetracked by, the people who are sidetracked by this particular yogi who teaches something which is not wrong in many senses, but it's just not right, because it's his speculation. It's his realization. It's not coming from Krishna. Prabhupada writes in the purport, one of the paragraphs, it is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of bhakti yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shyamsundar, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded. Illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. He incarnates in different forms such as Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he descends like a human being, as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. So this is the highest yogi. And how Prabhupada puts us in this paragraph, a wonderful description of Krishna, how we should meditate on this, and that he is known, he is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master. And he is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. But these opulences and transcendental qualities can only be fully relished by those who are actually unaware that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is an exalted state. So we should be thankful, grateful at every moment that we've had the opportunity to have the association of a pure devotee so that we can actually have this open to us. Otherwise, it's not open. How greatly we're fortunate. So with any travails, any difficulties, any problems we have, they cannot be considered important because we've been given the highest gift, the matchless gift of pure devotional service. We simply have to take it up and follow Prabhupada's instructions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Kanvanta Maravindanalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami Angani yasa sakalen Priti manti Vasyanti panti kayanti Chiram naganti Ananda chinmaya sadhu Jala vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham.
All together. So we're going to. Can I have a book? Thank you. Adaram, Maduram, Vadanam, Maduram, Nayanam maduram hasitam maduram Hridayam maduram gamanam maduram Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Vachanam maduram charitam maduram Vasanam maduram valitam maduram Chalitam maduram brahmitam maduram Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Venur maduro renur madura Panir madura Padao madura Nirtya maduram Sakhya maduram Madhuradipate Akilam maduram Gita maduram Pita maduram Bhuktam maduram Supta maduram Rupa maduram Tilaka maduram Madhuradipate Akilam maduram Karanam maduram Taranam maduram Haranam maduram Ramanam maduram Vamitam maduram Samitam maduram Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Gunja madura mala madura Jamuna madura Vichi maduram Salila maduram Kamalam maduram Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Gopi madura lila madura Yuktam madura Ukta madura Krishna madura Shista madura Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Gopa madura Gao madura Yashtir madura Srishtir madura Dalita madura Valita madura Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Adaram maduram Vadanam maduram Nayanam maduram Asitam maduram Hridayam maduram Gamanam maduram Madhuradipaterakilam maduram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha, Golokananda Radha, Golokananda Radha, Golokananda Sri Radhe Jaya Radha, Golokananda Radha, Golokananda Radha, Golokananda Sri Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga, Nitai Goranga Gora Hari, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana Gora Hari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana Gora. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. So we can read together. His lips are sweet, his voice is sweet, his eyes are sweet, his smile is sweet, his heart is sweet, his gait is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His words are sweet, his character is sweet, his dress is sweet, his belly folds are sweet, his movements are sweet, his wandering is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His flute is sweet, his lotus dust is sweet, his hands are sweet, his feet are sweet, his dancing is sweet, his friendship is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His singing is sweet, his yellow cloth is sweet, his eating is sweet, his sleeping is sweet, his beauty is sweet, his tilak is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His deeds are sweet, his liberating is sweet, his stealing is sweet, his love sports are sweet, his oblations are sweet, his tranquility is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His gunja berry necklace is sweet, his flower garland is sweet, his Yamuna river is sweet, his ripples are sweet, his water is sweet, his lotuses are sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His gopis are sweet, his pastimes are sweet, his union is sweet, his food is sweet, his delight is sweet, his courtesy is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. His gopas are sweet, his cows are sweet, his staff is sweet, his creation is sweet, his trampling is sweet, his truthfulness is sweet. Everything is sweet about the Emperor of sweetness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. An announcement is that we have Harinam Sankirtan. There's Harinam Sankirtan today between 12 noon and 2 p.m. in Hillsborough. And then you can go.
in Scarborough at the Town Commons, which is at 301 West Main Street, which is about 6 blocks west of Weaver Street Market. And it's easy to find. It's a town park. And lots of people will be there. Please come, 12 to 2. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Baba Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Treya. So many gardenias. All day picking. Madhavanam Purnam Rita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Haramijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Hainanda Tanuja Kikaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrishim Vachintaya Nayanam Galashudaraya Varanam Gadgadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabukada Tavanama Grahaneva Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamratam Panastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatatava Vedato Lampato Matprananatastu Sevanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when they your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, considering a moment to be like 12 years or more, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always